everyone, and welcome back to the Marketer of the Day podcast. We are here with Kat McLead, and Kat is the creator of the Stay-at-Home Mom Entrepreneur, which is the proven framework for creating a highly profitable business that you love while working 2 hours a day. And her website is sahmentrepreneur.com. And if you feel like Googling her, which is always a fun thing to do while you're listening to someone, see what else they get up to online, you can spell her name by spelling Katmclead. So, Kat, nice to have you here.
It's wonderful to be here with you.
So yeah, you said before we got started that you're not the usual guest, that you're different, you stand out. So why the heck is that? What makes you unique?
My 20-year entrepreneurial arc is really unique. It's definitely different, and it's not like most of your guests. I'll do a little backstory with it. I grew up in an extremely abusive home. I was beaten with a bamboo stick. I thought I was going to be murdered. I was belittled. I thought I was worthless because that's what I was told. So when I was in college, I got into a little credit card debt, started stripping, and this made me have the financial independence to leave my abusive household and move to Los Angeles. In Los Angeles, there's lap dancing. I'm not down with that. I don't like to be manhandled after my father abused me for so long that I answered an ad to become a dominatrix. So this was the first start of my entrepreneurial journey. I was a dominatrix for about 6 months. I really actually enjoyed it for that time period because it turned the tables of the abuse. It made me feel more powerful. It made me feel like I could control my life. Yeah, I got burned out about it. So I decided to niche down to only what I most enjoyed in the BDSM world and thought I was going to have to get a quote unquote normal job at the age of 22, had my bachelor's in psychology, and just decided that I would have to do that. Instead, the exact opposite happened. So when I was 22, I found out when you niche, you grow rich. I niched down and my business exploded. I over doubled my already high prices. I had tons of clientele, and I was making multiple six figures as a 22-year-old and owned that business for the next 5 years.
Awesome. And then what happened? Because clearly there's quite a bridge to gap from that to stay-at-home mom, right?
Yes. After that, during this time period, I was feeling burned out, unsatisfied, because even though I was making a lot of money, it wasn't meaningful and it wasn't purposeful. And during this time period, I had depression. I had an eating disorder. I was going through a lot of therapy. I started adding in things that were pleasurable, like yoga. And after 5 years, I finally made the decision that I couldn't do this any longer. I got hired by one of my regular clients that I had known for almost 5 years. And he hired me into his corporate business. And I grew a division of his company that's still successful to this day, because as an entrepreneur, I was a self-starter and I was able to easily transition into corporate, but I hated working for someone else. I did not like having a schedule. I did not like being micromanaged. I did not like being in the office all day. So I decided to quit that job and go back to school. I wanted to get my master's in psychology so I could help other people who were going through the same thing as me, and just help other people, because therapy helped me get my head on halfway straight. As my second year graduate school project, I chose to help women transition out of the sex industry. And this is how I became a business coach. These women were used to making hundreds, if not thousands of dollars an hour, and transitioning them into a normal job just wasn't going to cut it. So I became a business coach and figured out how to niche them down to the skill that was going to make them the most money for the time spent. And this is how I developed my superpower that I still use to this day, of finding the subset of your niche that's going to make you the most money for the time spent. And you'd be surprised that this easily translates into busy stay-at-home moms, because we already have full-time mom jobs that we don't get paid for and limited hours, and want to make really good money and do meaningful work for the time spent.
So much to unpack there. And so when you were explaining those stories and things like that, like it made me think about how, I mean, we all kind of, maybe not into the extreme that you went to, but we all live like 4 or 5 lifetimes these days, right? We go through like the job that we have just to pay the bills. Maybe we try to move into this passion and maybe it's a false start, or there's some other career we're in where that's a dead end. And so but all along the way, we pick up these skills that you apply in different areas, right? Like with like building your business and getting clients and marketing yourself. And then we don't even realize it until years later. But maybe if we had some waste of time job, career, business, or working for someone else, and then those skills apply again and again. And then also there's the aspect of sometimes we're in a job that we hate, or we're in a business that we hate, but it pays too well, right? And again, not to the extreme that it is in your niche, but that seems to be a problem where sometimes people say, well, I had my 9 to 5 going and I built this business on the side, and now it's time to decide, which one wins. But then if I go all in, my income will go, drop in half or drop into a third. So it seems like even though it seems like you had a lot more of an extreme and fun story than the rest of us, there are a lot of similarities in like similar problems to be solved, right?
Entrepreneurship is entrepreneurship, and it's messy along the way. And just like you said, there's many, many different stories and unfolding of that journey and into the dream life that you want. And you do pick up skills along the way, and you are going to slip backwards along the way, and you are going to have to make those tough, messy decisions along the way.
So with these clients that you kind of help them, build their own business and do their own thing, where are they usually getting stuck? Is it a matter of like focus, or they don't know what to do, or implementation, or like where is the hurt these days?
For most of my clients, the hurt actually is at nailing their right business idea. Whether they are from ground zero and just getting started, this keeps people still for months, if not years, because they don't think they have the right idea. And even if they're further along in their business and they've been in their business for many years, one of my recent clients, she's been in business for 30 years, but she's still refining her niche. We just niched her down to what she truly most enjoyed, and now she's owning her power as a 7-figure mindset coach. She was taking clients she no longer wanted to serve out of guilt, out of her own stuff. And sometimes when you're further along, it's best to niche down to what you truly enjoy. So for that situation that you were talking about, people stuck in corporate and then they are afraid to make the jump into the business they truly want because they're afraid of leaving their corporate salary, it is a big deal and it is fearful. I have clients that have had to do this. I have a client currently who's in this transition, and luckily for her, we've been able to slowly move her down one day a week so that she can work on her business and do a slow ladder change. I know that's not going to work for everybody in corporate, but that is a way to start putting more energy into your business. Claim those personal days. Take that slight leave of absence. That makes it less extreme. It's really hard when there's an extreme change. Even for me, leaving my very high earning fetish business, it didn't happen overnight. There were a lot of false stops along the way, false stops, not starts. And it took a while for me to really be feeling right enough to be able to close the doors.
And I think that's huge, what you just mentioned of having that gradual overlap a little bit, and to take a few of those days here and there. And I mean, that's what I did too. Like I've been full-time for 10 and a half years. And I loved some days when I'd come in at 6 a.m. at my job and leave at 2. So that way I'd have the afternoons free. Or sometimes I'd take those vacation days and go to networking events just because like, what else was I going to do? Just one day decide I was going to quit and then figure it out. And who knows if that would take 6, 12 months to ramp up, 2, 3 years. I like your way, your advice there of find the time when you can and find something that works with your schedule. That way you can get this other thing rocking and rolling so that way it's not that drastic of a change. And you mentioned a few times now about this concept of niching down, of, being more specific. That way you can charge more and have those clients that know what they want. And so was there a process in that? Or like when you have these clients that are too generalized and need to get specific, what's your thought process there?
I'm just so good at it. And I'm trying to break it down so I can put it into a course right now, because right now it runs through my brain. It is like that. I've had numerous clients come to me and they've been in business for months, if not years, and they think they're niching down and they are totally not. And it is painful to help them niche down because people are afraid that if you niche down too much, you will not get clients. And the exact opposite is true. time and time again with my clients, once we niche them down so that people know that they're speaking to them, because it's so niched down that people are like, oh, that's me. That's when they've started getting clients and traction in their business. So this is really common. Niching down, it takes some getting used to, and really there is a reason why the niches are in the riches, is a saying.
So, all right. So, you're saying that you're working on like explaining your process, because there's a lot of just like, when you see it, right? There's some aspect of the intuition, and then so you help these clients, but they're worried about, well, what if there aren't not a large enough universe to accommodate this really specific thing? And so, I mean, do they ever like list out a few ideas and you say, well, that's good or that's bad, or like, I'm just trying to understand, like, how do you make sense of like the possibilities here?
When they've come to me and they're at ground zero, and that means to me like 0 clients to, we'll say 5, I go over all of their skills, all of their talents, and all of their gifts. So right now, one of my current clients, she spent 1.5 years trying to make it on her own. And when she came to me, she thought she was niched down and it was a big old mess. I could barely understand what she's talking about, and I'm fairly intelligent. And we had to really break it down. And I have her niched into only doing Dubsado. So she's the Dubsado bestie is how I've branded her. And ever since we branded her that way, she's just been getting client after client. So for those of you who don't know, Dubsado is a kind of software program. I know nothing about technical skills. I could not help out at technical at all. Niching is my superpower, and I stay with that. But that's how niched we got her, down to a software program, and boom, client after client.
And then so you get someone niched down to like something like that, like this specific software program, this specific solution. And then how do you get traffic? I mean, or is it just change from person to person? Like, are you all about like LinkedIn or speaking engagements, or like building a list or paid traffic? Like, what do you usually go to when you say you niche down? Now, how do you find the people that need your solution?
That depends on the client and the business. So for the client we were just talking about, LinkedIn is a great place for her. Facebook is a great place for her. And of course, we always have the funnel and the website going on, because that's just great for your medium to long range clients. And for a simpler business, one of my first clients in my stay-at-home mom entrepreneur program, she makes beautiful cakes. And she learned that from her mom. She never thought she could monetize this. And we niched it down to gluten-free cakes for children's birthday parties and baby showers. And she makes a good profit on this in my local Los Angeles area, where people will pay a high premium on this. And this was just a hobby for her, and she monetized it, and she has a successful business now.
Super cool. And so it seems like hearing about the gluten-free cakes for kids, and how like you have your whole journey going from being the dominatrix to stay-at-home mom. It seems like you really enjoy the story aspect of things, right?
Definitely infuse yourself in your brand. It makes you interesting. You are your brand. People want to connect with you. And that's something that I feel like I add into marketing that I feel like is missing. So much for marketing for years has been the webinars, the auto emails, and all of those things are great. And we know they're less and less effective because people are craving actual human connection. So I love bringing in that story for that human connection. It's really, people are starved right now for that connection. And I have the experience of working one-on-one with many hundreds, if not over 1,000 clients at this point. And I know that people are starved for this connection, and it's really important to bring it back into your business.
I agree completely. In this day and age of social media and reality shows, I mean, we love an interesting adventure like that. And so you've been doing all this cool stuff and dealing with these clients. So is there anything that comes to mind about anything like recent, anything within the last 6 months or so where you're really stuck or blocked in some area and you had to overcome it?
The main block that I consistently overcome is my feeling of not being good enough. that stems from a childhood of being told I wasn't good enough. And I'm going to venture to say that that's a lot of what holds a lot of your listeners and people back in general, just not feeling good enough, not knowing if you could make it happen. So my intention is to scale my current business to 7 figures while never working more than 20 hours a week and feeling very fulfilled, bringing pleasure and joy into it. Why? Because my first business brought in over 7 figures in revenue and I hated it. And I'm going to build this business in a totally different way. So just feeling good enough, feeling if this is possible. And the truth is I do the mental work around that. It's still something that 20 years later of working on it, still struggle with. And I don't let it stop me. I still take that consistent action and I still show up and do it anyways and understand that failure is 100% part of your journey. It's going to look messy. It's not going to be comfortable. And the sooner that you can ingrain that each level of business that you go to is going to look messy, be uncomfortable, not be easy, and there's going to entail failure, even though it's challenging, the bigger you can rise. And the truth is, I've already had $1 million. We're millionaires. We've made it. I built this dream life despite that past. We didn't go over the rest of my arc into the current life that I have now, just skipped forward into the business. But after I did the coaching and everything, I built a millionaire dream life with my husband who grew up poor. We made this life happen with each other. We built it together. And if nothing else today, for those of you who have been waiting on the sidelines, who don't think that you can make it happen, you're talking to a lady who came from the worst beginnings, literally thought I was going to be murdered, made a lot of strange choices, like being involved in the sex industry, even though I was not having sex with my clients, it was still the sex industry, and evolving and making mistakes along all the way, and currently living a dream life for the last decade, doing this podcast from my beach home with my mountain and ocean view in the background.
Super cool. I mean, you're so right about how important that mental aspect of things is, and also that whole thing of you take the time, right? No one's too good to schlub it on a podcast like with mine, but So anyway, so one thing that caught my attention there when you were like kind of explaining like, you know, the life you built and what you're working on now is that you're very conscious about not spending 24 hours a day on this, right? You have a strict cap on how much time you're going to be spending. And so why is that? And how the heck do you make that possible?
I am first and foremost a stay-at-home mom. I am there to pick up my son every single day. I have been there every day since he was born, and I'm not going to sacrifice that. I know that's not the case for a lot of your listeners. That's the case for my life, and I also value lifestyle. I've created this lifestyle over 20 years. The truth of the matter is I never have to work a day in my life. We already have we did a lot of investing. We were smart with our money, and my husband is a really high earner. He did not rescue me. I had 10 times more money than he did when we got married, and I paid the entire almost $500,000 down on the home that I'm currently podcasting with. So no one rescued me, but I've built a lifestyle for myself that allows me to work for that enjoyment. I thought I was going to be a pampered stay-at-home mom / wife, and I wasn't done sharing my superpowers with the world that I've developed over the last 2 decades, and I'm not going to be done anytime soon. So when you are building a business, if you want to have a lifestyle business like I do, then give yourself that time. So for my moms, that's 20 hours or less. I do not build businesses that take 20 hours or less. One of my clients transitioning out of corporate, we've designed a business for her that she can literally work 4 days a month and make the same amount as she did in corporate. The way we do that is we take that niche, we find the highest profit for it, so you do less work. Don't follow the Walmart method of trying to be all things to all people. As a matter of fact, Walmart is closing stores. Their profit margins are going down. If you look at their charts, that doesn't work anymore. It's better to be the expert in your particular field so that you can give a premium product and work less. And the bottom line is, if you want to work 25 hours a week, for those of you who don't have such a strict schedule, or even 30, then make that happen and outsource everything that you don't need to do. I know that you've had trouble in the past outsourcing. I've heard you on some podcasts saying about you don't want to outsource, but really think about if you can serve your clients and you have a choice between serving your clients or doing some mundane tasks like mowing the lawn, outsource the tasks that you don't need to do to focus on building your business.
Super cool. And yeah, to give you personally an update on the outsourcing, what has helped, because now I think we have 6 full, or maybe like I think 4 full-time and 2 part-time people. And what's helped is to give someone a small repeatable task and to just slowly ease into it, kind of like our whole conversation today, right? Don't just do a drastic, I'll stop doing all these things and have someone else do all these things. Just slowly easing into it has been the key. And also, like you mentioned near the beginning here, of failure is part of it, right? Sometimes we'll do a completely wrong thing, or it'll explain something, or some little bit will be a waste of money, but you keep on going. And but it has been a process, and I wish I had been more patient with how that had been going. Just to give you an update on it personally.
Well, this is just so normal. I completely feel you. I am a recovering control freak, and maybe I'm not recovering too well. And I do not like delegating and outsourcing because, I could do it better than everyone else. However, it does impede our growth. And if we really, truly want to have a lifestyle where we're not grinding, like I grinded it out in my 20s. I get what grinding is. That's not going to be my life now. Then we're going to have to outsource the stuff that we just do not have to do and stay in our zone of genius. Like I love staying in my zone of genius. I love working with people on their niches over everything else.
Awesome. And so I want to make sure that people know where to find you and know how to contact you, because as you know, there are people out there who are stuck. They need help. They need to niche down. They need to get into that zone of genius. So what do you have for us today? If people said, man, Kat, she seems maybe a little scary, but she's a smart cookie and she knows stuff and has great advice. What's the next step? Where can and where should people go to find out more about you and take the next step?
My website is sahmentrepreneur.com, sahmentrepreneur.com. And on there, I have my work with me page where you can find a way to contact me directly. I have my Facebook community, and I have a training on the 4 key steps to a fulfilling high profit business that, again, values your time, that's going to be completed in 20 hours or less a week. And on a side funny note, several of my clients have come to me after their husbands have purchased my services for their wives because their wives are feeling unfulfilled, bored, their kids are in school, they don't know what they want to do with their lives, they don't want to go back to their law practice. This happens a lot. Several of them have been ex-lawyers. They don't want to go back into the law field, so their husbands have purchased my services for their wives as a gift.
Interesting. So all kinds of new opportunities, right? You might even niche down even further.
I'm not afraid of that.
Awesome. I don't think you're afraid of too much. So sahmentrepreneur.com, where you can contact Kat, you can access those 4 key steps. And then that Facebook community sounds really interesting. What happens in there?
I'm in there almost daily. I give free trainings on just the stuff that we talked about, being able to target your audience, be able to add value to them so that they know that you're speaking to them, a little bit of marketing, learning to price yourself right, pricing yourself as the premium, learning to craft that right offer. So again, that your audience knows that you're speaking to them, how to get clients. So this is a key point. Once you've niched down, you still need to know how to get clients, how to make sales, how to be able to connect with your audience and translate that into sales. And I go over all of that in my community.
Super cool. So that's a lot of great reasons to join that community, especially because, as you know, some of these things are a process, and sometimes we have to just chip away a little bit every day, especially if we're limited on time and we're looking to delegate, and we know that we might ramp up this business and then we don't like it, we move and transition to something else. And so it's a daily process. And I'm sure it helps a lot to have that community of like-minded people on Facebook and to see you in there every day, helping us nudge us in the right direction. So once again, sahmentrepreneur.com is the place to be. And anything to say here, Kat, just to wrap things up, any last thoughts, parting words?
I just love what you brought up. Along the way, you just sparked the fact that along the way, like we keep talking about, it's going to be messy. Getting support is the easiest path to success and to not be afraid of failure. Just the same, like the same things that we've been bringing up while you're creating your dream life, going from wherever you are now to wherever you want to go. Just keep taking those steps, get the support, find a community, make it happen for yourself.
You make it sound so easy, but it's also easy to not do it. So the thing to do is go to sahmentrepreneur.com and we'll see you there. And thank you very much.
Thank you.